1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Jason. This is Commissioner Harris, right?
Are we recording? Commissioners, we are recording and we will be starting. Ms. Pacina,
Yeah, and I'll trust you to get the speakers right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to go back and say, well,
we're ready for roll call.
Yes, sir.
We're ready for roll call, please. Thank you.
Good morning, Commission. Roll call. District 1. District 2.
She's going to be late.
District 3. Vacant. District 4. Vacant.
Vacant.
District 5.
Present.
District 6.
Present.
District 7. Present. Welcome. District 8. District 8. District 9.
District 9 is present.
District 10.
Present.
District 11. District 12.
Present.
District 13.
Present.
District 14. And place 15.
I'm here.
You have quorum.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pacina. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Thursday, December 15th, 2022, 9:09 a.m. This is the briefing of the Dallas City Plan Commission. Commissioners, as always, this is a time for questions for staff. Let's leave all our comments and statements for the hearing this afternoon. And just a quick little correction, I think we might have stated that District 3 is vacant. It is not. Commissioner Gracie may be running late today. And also, before we get started, I want to welcome Commissioner Wheeler. Good morning, welcome on board. We're very, very happy that you're here. We all look forward to working with you. This is a very welcoming body, so you're going to have lots of folks raise their hand if you ever need any help. So please make sure that you reach out. And then also just one other quick note, Commissioners, this week was Commissioner Standard's birthday. So I'd like to wish her a happy birthday, and my present to you is that I will not sing happy birthday. But with that, Commissioners, we're going to get started with the very first case. And Ms. Seaton, good morning to you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you see the screen yet? Let me go back. Let me get back out. Can you see the screen? No? Do you see me, Jason? Okay. It's on that side. Okay, sorry about that. I was looking on that side and it's on this side. Thank you. This is case M212038. This is a minor amendment for a development and a landscape plan related to PD or Plan Development 484 on 4.07 acres. It's on the southeast corner of Bruton Road in St. Augustine. It's in District 5. This item was held under advisement at the last CPC meeting on November 17th. This is to amend a development plan and a landscape plan for an existing school to reconfigure the parking lot to accommodate a trash enclosure. The parking lot is being amended, and there would be a change in the parking space by 2, and you'll see the reconfiguration of the parking lot in a minute. This is located in the east side of Dallas. This is the aerial map and the zoning map. And this is a proposed development plan. The detail is the trash enclosure is located on the south side of the property. The existing development plan, as you can see, there's no trash enclosure. And there is no effect to the proposed landscape plan, as it will, the trash enclosure will be on 2 parking spaces. And the existing landscape plan, and staff is recommending approval.
Thank you very much. Questions, Commissioners? Okay. Next case, please. You know what, Ms. Seaton, I think we're going to hold off briefing this next case until Commissioner Hampton. She's feverishly trying to get here this morning. I think she had another appointment. So let's go to case number 3. We'll come back to 2 if you don't mind.
Okay. It's taking a while to. Okay, this is case M212022. It's a minor amendment to an existing development landscape plan on Plan Development 143 in Zone 1. It's 17.45 acres. It's on the northwest corner of Valley View Lane and Interstate 635 in District 11. This is a minor amendment for a private school to reconfigure the building layout to divide it into 2 separate structures. It will reduce the overall building square footage, and there will be no change to the landscaping. This is located on the northern section of Dallas. This is the aerial map and the zoning map. And this is a proposed development plan. And the structure that's being affected is that southern building, or the large gray now. And staff is recommending approval.
Ready for questions?
Yes.
Yes. Questions, Commissioners? Any questions on this item? Okay, we'll keep moving to number 4, please. Ms. Moorman. Good morning. While you get that pulled up, just for the record, Commissioner Popkin joined us today, 9:15 a.m., and Commissioner Blair at 9:16 a.m. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Hannah.
Y'all can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Wait, let me share my screen. Let's see if this works this time. I had problems the last time. Okay, M212-030 is my first case for today. And everybody can see my plan as well.
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is a request for a minor amendment to an existing development plan for a school, Lansing Elementary School, on property zone PD 651, a little over 12 acres in District 5. The location of the PD, location and zoning map. Generally on the northwest corner of Greenmount Avenue and McKim Drive. The surrounding zoning is R75 and duplex, residential, and park uses. And the request contains the following: a new fire lane with hose coverage for the portable classrooms, detention pond on the back end of the parking lot fenced in, small playground with canopy for pre-K, and 32 additional parking spaces. The updated TMP as requested by transportation engineering staff was submitted, reviewed, and approved. Aerial view. The proposed development plan with the changes circled here. We have the new detention pond, the parking area, and the new fire lane. Some of the portables were also modified. The canopy over the playground area. The existing development plan. And staff is recommending approval. You can hold for questions.
Commissioner Treadway, please.
Hi, good morning. The retention pond, is there a fence around it or anything? Just because it is close to children and a playground, I didn't know kind of what the protocol was for it.
Yes, there is a new change on the development.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yes, there is a shown around the detention pond. You see here where my mouse is.
So the question was, is there a fence or other protective device around the retention pond so that the kids can't access it?
Can y'all hear me okay?
We can.
Can you hear me? Okay, because yes, there is a fence. I am circling with my mouse where it is shown on the development plan.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you both. Commissioner Young, please.
The driveway leading into the retention pond, is that for servicing it, cleaning out debris and so forth?
Are you referring to this right here?
I'm afraid my eyes are not working. Yes, yes, that's what I'm referring to.
I'm not quite sure if that is a driveway. I will wait for the applicant to respond to that later on. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
I'll ask later. I suspect that's what it is. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never seen that either. Yeah, I believe it's gated, but we'll ask the applicant at the hearing. Any other questions on this item, commissioners? Okay, we'll keep going to case number 5, please. Thank you very much, Ms. Groskell.
Request for a minor amendment to an existing development plan on property zone PD 68. The applicant is Cooper Aerobics Enterprises, 24 acres in Council District 11. Location of the PD. So generally on the southeast corner of Churchill Way and Preston Road. Surrounding uses are residential. The amendment is to allow for the addition of approximately 6,900 square feet to an existing building, Building 6. They're adding to the main level and constructing a mezzanine level. Building 6 will total approximately 58,340 square feet, or 47% of the currently allowed square footage. Total floor area allowed per the PD is 268,460 square feet. With the new addition, total floor area will be 164,649 square feet. The lot coverage increases 0.3% or 3,000 square feet. There is no increase in height. The proposed additions and modifications would supplement uses currently allowed in Building 6, and they are doing this to allow for social distancing of exercise equipment. The proposed development plan, and here is Building 6, and this is where the building addition will occur. In a large view here. The existing development plan, and this is highlighting the area on Building 6. And staff is recommending approval.
Questions, Commissioners? Any questions for Ms. Carrasco on this item? Okay, we'll keep moving.
Last case, D212021, which is a request for a new development plan and landscape plan for an office use on a portion of property zone PD 765, Plano ISD, Council District 12, and a little over 2 acres. The general location of the PD, which is located on the southeast corner of Oxford Drive and Maple Shade Lane. Okay, summary. The applicant is requesting or proposing a 1-story office building for Plano ISD, maximum height of 25 feet, total floor area 10,800 square feet, and they will be providing 150 surface parking spaces. The landscape plan is in accordance with Article X, and it is to be shown on the landscape plan, which I will show here. And the proposed development plan, this is the entire PD. However, they're only developing this building here on this portion to the north. Enlarged view. The landscape plan. Landscape plan enlarged. Conceptual plan, and I put a star here where the building is on the concept plan. And staff is recommending approval.
Thank you, Ms. Carrasco. Questions? Any questions on this item? Okay, thank you very much, Hannah. We'll just, can we come back to number 2 maybe a little bit later? I think Commissioner Hampton is going to be just a little bit late. Pardon me? Number 6.
Yes,
Oh, thank you, please.
D212020. This is a development plan for a child care facility on Plan Development 1040, Track 3. It's approximately 3.4202 acres. It's located on the northwest corner of Lancaster Road and Crouch, and it's in District 8. This is an unapproved parcel of land for the child care facility, and it is a 1-story development with surface parking, and landscaping is according to Article 10. This is located in our southern region of our city. This is the aerial map. As you can see, it's undeveloped. And the zoning map. The proposed development plan. And there's the detail. And the existing concept plan, as you can see, it's just for residential as well as commercial properties. And staff is recommending approval.
Questions, Commissioners? Okay, no questions. Number 7, please. Back to Hannah. Order,
You did 7.
so, yes, let's wait on number 8. At this point, Commissioners, all cases are still on consent except for number 11. 11 has come off consent, and we will hold that case under advisement till January 5th, and we will brief it then. Number 11. Number 11 will be held under advisement till January 5th. So, Mr. Mulkey, if you don't mind, we'll skip number 8 for now. We'll come back to it. Begin with number 9. And Ms. Munoz.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. We are on number 9, Commissioners, top of page 4.
Can everyone see my presentation?
Yes.
Fantastic. This is Z212295. It's an application for a specific use permit for a tower antenna for cellular communication. Ultimately, this site already contains a monopole cellular tower, which was constructed according to code up to 65 feet in height, permitted without an SUP. They are asking to increase that height to 85 feet to allow co-location, so other providers to be able to join on there. And that includes a 5-foot lightning rod, so the overall height would be a maximum of 85 feet. And in this district, anything above 65 feet requires an SUP. This site is located on a building site that has multiple commercial uses within the facility. And this tower antenna is just one of them, located at the center of the site, which is just about an acre. The applicant is requesting this SUP for a 10-year period with eligibility for automatic renewals for additional 10-year periods. And here is where I'm just showing you the section of the code that refers to it being by right in the CR district. But once it exceeds 65 feet in height, it requires that SUP, which I also put a link to in your case report if you need more time, if you'd like to look that over. This is information regarding the building permit, which was issued back in October of 2020. So it is a legal build of that cell tower that currently exists. The property is on the southeast corner of Walnut Hill Lane and Audalia Road in Lake Highlands. And here's an aerial map that shows you the developed nature of this intersection and the entire parcel, which includes all those retail uses, including that cell tower. Now here we have the zoning and adjacent land uses. Of course, the site itself, as I mentioned, has several retail and personal service uses, including a restaurant with a drive-through and the cell tower itself. To the north, we do have additional CR district and PD 401. And there are other retail and personal service uses, including general merchandise or food store. And there's also a multifamily development with a private community center, which is the SUP on the site. And then as you continue to go north, there's more multifamily. And then further to the east and west on the north side, across Walnut Hill, there's single family. You can kind of see there's this commercial node right at the intersection where this site is. And then it extends out into higher density, residential, and then finally single family. So to the east, we have CR district as well with some more retail personal service uses that are adjacent. And then that single family that I mentioned as it transitions to R75A. Same thing can be said of the south and to the west. Here are site photos. I did put a couple of Google shots so that you can get a different view. And this is us looking south onto the property from Walnut Hill. And this is another view from Walnut Hill that I took when I was there. I guess the angle that I shot it at, you can see that that 65-foot tower is pretty concealed behind this oak tree. And here is within that retail property. There, of course, are these other uses on the property, including this ice vendor that's directly in front of it. You can see that existing CMU brick wall that surrounds the lease area. And here we're looking at it again from the interior of the lot. This is just giving you a view from the street outward onto Walnut Hill and Audelia. And here are the surrounding uses. This is across Walnut Hill and Audelia, where you see at the northwest corner, some multifamily and then an auto service center. To the east, the general merchandise or food store, and then other retail and personal service uses, including adjacent to the east, and then adjacent to the site, the restaurant with drive-through, and to the west, another general merchandise or fuel or food store with a fueling station, and another one. So here is their proposed site elevation plan. It's combined onto one page for our viewing. So it's the overall build site. Then the lease area is here right at the center. If you can see, I'm pointing at the wrong screen here. The overall build site is here as identified by the property line. And then interior here is where we have that lease area. And then here is the elevation showing that height and the overall build of that tower. So this is included detail from examining that site plan, which just indicates that the tower area is about 750 square feet, the lease area that is, and it contains a generator, carrier lease area, equipment, a meter bank and box, and a pad for the monopole tower, which is 10 by 12, 120 feet, and a cement pad and other equipment in other areas. Then it has the CMU wall that I mentioned is surrounding the site and access, which is internal to the build site, but there is a dedicated access identified on there. Here is a close-up view enlarged of that lease area, so you can see that the tower is right here. And then here are those pads with the equipment areas. This is a close-up of the top as proposed. So now we've extended the height to 85 feet. The prior one I showed you from the permit showed 65. The overall structure height is 80, but it has that lightning rod that's 5 feet on top, reaching that maximum height. And so basically between these two yellow squares or rectangles I put there is the 15-foot extension that's being requested, plus the 5-foot lightning rod, so 20 feet total. So this is where you currently see the tower at this height, and this is the additional that we'll see popping up. Here are the proposed SUP conditions as found in your case report. So it's just very typical of a cell tower. It just shows the time frame, the co-location, and the overall height, including the lightning rod, and then the screening as identified. You see that that's existing on the plan and in the elevation as well. That's again just the code section that requires the SUP. Now, one thing about this is that whenever you do require an SUP, it is permitted for us to take the height of the structure in RPS into consideration when we're doing our review to determine appropriateness. And so what I did is I looked at what the RPS would be for this site, generating from the adjacent single family and multifamily properties. So two different slopes that I would be looking at according to our RPS from our code. And then this is the height requested. And these are the maximum heights based on the zoning district and location from property line to the pole. And so the pole could actually be a maximum of 440 feet in height when we're looking at adjacency from the north, and a minimum of 153 feet in height when we're looking for to the nearest residential adjacency to the east. And so the request of 85 feet is well within those limits. And so staff did find it to be appropriate. And of course, it's necessary for these neighborhoods to have proper service. So staff recommendation for a 10-year period with eligibility for automatic renewals for additional 10-year periods, subject to the site elevation plan and conditions as I presented today. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Ms. Munoz. Questions, commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Carpenter.
Yes, Ms. Munoz, I see that the SUP conditions include, specify 85 feet, including the 5 feet lightning rod, but the site plan does not spell out the 5 feet for the lightning rod. Is that just assumed, or does it need to be? It has 65-foot monopole with a 15-foot extension. That is it just assumed that it has the right to go another 5 feet for the lightning rod?
So right here at the top, I'm sorry, I forgot highlighting here. If you see, I put 15-foot tower extension. I highlighted it there. But then here on the left side, I didn't highlight that says 5-foot lightning rod.
Okay, all right. I wasn't looking at that in the report. Thank you.
Sure thing. Thank you for pointing that out.
Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, thank you, Ms. Munoz.
Thank you.
Commissioners, for the moment, we'll skip number 10. Number 11 is going to be held under advisement to January 5th, 2023. Takes us to case number 12. Mr. Mulkey, good morning, sir.
Good morning, commissioners. Give me 1 second here. Okay. First case I have for you today is Z212-305. The request is for an MF2A multifamily district on property zoned an R5A single-family district and an LI light industrial district. It's generally located on the northeast and southeast corners of Grant Street and Ridge Street, west of the terminus of Grant Street and north of the terminus of Ridge Street, and it's approximately 4.46 acres. Location map showing the property within city limits. Aerial map with the property outlined in blue. As you can see, the request area is made up of several existing parcels. Zoning map with surrounding zoning districts and land uses. So to the south primarily is R5A zoning. A little further west of that is some existing MF2A zoning. Uses within that area are predominantly single family. However, to the east, there's also an existing church. To the northeast, zoned LI today are other single family uses as well as undeveloped property. And then immediately due north under PD, I think 564, is an industrial inside potentially incompatible use. It's an existing paper mill. So if you look at the zoning map I just showed, you'll take a look and see that it zoomed in really closely. It's primarily R5A. However, as you zoom out a little bit further, you can see it's not quite as homogeneous. Like I said, there's an existing MF2A district to the southwest. Further south of that is an existing TH3A district, and then to the southeast is a CR district. So it's a little less homogeneous than just a single-family neighborhood. So some background on this, the area of request is currently zoned both an R5A district and an LI district, and it's undeveloped today. The applicant proposes to develop the site with multifamily. They're still kind of working on their concept a little bit because this is a general zoning change. They have tossed around the idea of a mix of a podium apartment building with some townhome-style structures. They've also talked about just having townhome-style structures for the site. The applicant is prepared to speak this afternoon if needed, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, so he can give you some more information about that. They also propose to provide affordable units as part of this development. And if those units are provided, it would allow them to achieve bonuses to the standard development regulations of a straight MF2A district. So some site photos and surrounding uses. This is overall view of the neighborhood, essentially. So this is at Ridge Street and Claude Street looking southwest. This is one of the streets south of the request area. I do want to point out in these neighborhood photos, because this is an older established neighborhood, there's already a lot of existing sidewalks. So this neighborhood is already pretty walkable. This is more views of the neighborhood south of the request area. And on the other side of that same street, you can see some newer homes as well as some very new homes in a totally different architectural style than what's everything else that exists there today. So we can see some signs of a little bit of gentrification. It's the street south of the property. And then this is photos moving off of Ridge Street into this portion of the site. There's some pretty significant grade changes through this request area. So this is one of the areas where you can get into the site, which the applicant allowed me to do. So we are continuing to move north off of Ridge Street into the interior of the property. Some more photos there. And then as you get to this very steep grade change, you can see that from this point on the site, you can see straight through to downtown, which is pretty cool. This is off of Grant Street looking west, so we're along the eastern boundary of the request area. Some of the homes along that street. And this is off of Front Street, looking west, again at the eastern side of the property, a little more north. You can see some existing sidewalks that terminate right there at the property line. Some of those homes. And this is at South Denley Drive and Glidden Street looking north. We're kind of coming around the street that curves to the northeast. Some more homes there with sidewalks. I just thought this sign was funny, so I took a picture of it. And then we're coming around on Glidden Street. I'm sure that property owner got a lot of calls and is adamantly opposed to selling that property. Some more views of the homes there. And this is on Compton Street, headed back in a westerly direction towards the northeastern edge of the site. Like I said, existing sidewalks. Some of these homes are older, but some of them are newer and a very yuppie-esque architectural style. And then we're just moving west and kind of southwest here along Compton Street. You can see some grade changes of those homes. Another sign I thought was cool that I wanted to include in this, kind of gives a snapshot of this community. And now we're moving southwest along Compton. And then we're back at the northeastern edge of the site. This is at a very different grade than where we were before. But again, the applicant allowed me to come on site and take some photos so you can see how the grade changes as we move back and south here. So this is a comparison table of the development standards of the existing LI and R5A district, as well as the proposed MF2A district. And then for comparison's sake, development standards that would apply if the applicant provides mixed income housing. This area is in an I MVA category, which would require a minimum of 5% of the units at 81 to 100% AMFI to qualify for those development bonuses. However, they could provide more than that if they choose. So really the thing to compare here is MF2A versus R5A. Really, in terms of height, only a 6-foot increase over what R5A would allow. Contrary to what some people might think, R5A allows you to go up to 30 feet in height. So this would only be a 6-foot height increase there. A little bit increase in lot coverage under a standard MF2A from 45% to 60%. RPS would apply in an MF2A, and obviously it would allow for multifamily and duplex uses in addition to single family. And then if MIH were provided, same front, side, and rear setbacks would remove the requirement for a minimum lot area per dwelling unit, so the density could potentially increase. Maximum height could increase all the way up to 85 feet. However, that would still be subject to residential proximity slope as well as urban form setback. And then lot coverage could increase all the way up to 85%. And the permitted uses obviously would stay the same. So that's the basics of the proposal. I did want to kind of give a consideration on this case that goes beyond just basic development standards. There's a full write-up of this in the case report. But so this proposal really does present an opportunity to increase affordable housing stock while maintaining those codified development standards of mixed income housing. This is not a PD that includes mixed income housing, so they'll have to meet those standards in 51A 41107 as they are codified. It's also located within a 10-minute walk of the Dallas Sioux DART rail station, as well as the Morris DART rail station. If you don't believe me, you can Google it. It's true. It's also supported by several mini goals from the comprehensive plan, as well as the Neighborhood Plus plan. Those are all outlined in my case report. And then although this property is not within the boundaries of the Trinity River Corridor Comprehensive Land Use Plan, it's about as close as it can get without actually being within the boundaries. It's just south of that. And in that plan, this area immediately to the north of this request area is designated as a residential traditional land use module. Within this land use module, the primary land use type is single family detached, which is kind of in character with this predominantly R5A neighborhood. However, this module, and again, if you don't believe me, you can look it up, also allows multifamily 2 land use type as a secondary land use that is recommended to comprise about 10% of that overall land use module with a flexibility factor of plus or minus 5. So it could be as low as 5%, as high as 15%. So although this property is not within that area of this area plan, due to the fact that it's immediately adjacent, it does kind of indicate that a small amount of multifamily may be appropriate for this predominantly single-family area. And I'm committing a grievous City of Dallas sin here by even mentioning the vision illustration map from our current comprehensive plan. I know, sue me. However, I did want to present this for your consideration because it does designate this area, which includes this request area, as compatible with the urban neighborhood building block. In the comprehensive plan, urban neighborhoods are described as being predominantly residential with a wide variety of housing options and easy access to public transit. Housing choices within that urban neighborhood type can include single-family detached, but they can also include townhomes and low to mid-rise condos or apartments. And then for all you RPS fans out there, due to the grade changes with this site, I did want to kind of give an overview of how RPS would apply. It would apply whether this were developed with market rate units or with mixed income units. And the way that slope is applied, it's projected from a line formed by the intersection of the vertical plane extending through the boundary line of the site of origination and the grade of the restricted building or structure. This is a fancy way of saying that RPS isn't just intended to correct for grade changes when calculating slope. And like I said, it's pretty pertinent to this due to the many grade changes of this site. And for you visual folks, that's what this looks like. So this is an example where the grade of the MF2A and the R5A are the same. This is an example when the grade of the MF2A is lower than the R5A. You can see that RPS slope is still being applied. And then this is the opposite, when the MF2A is at a higher grade than the R5A, still corrected to apply that slope appropriately. So with all of that lovely information, staff's recommendation on this is approval, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wonky. Questions? Commissioner Young.
Yes, first of all, Mr. Chair, I'll have some questions for the applicant, so if we could take this case off consent, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Actually, that's all. Thank you.
Commissioner Stanner.
Yes, I do have a question, and it may be my ignorance, but you know, when I hear this, and I heard what you justified and how you saw this, that when it talks about, well, you can have some multifamily in R5 areas, okay. And then if you have the mixed income, and if I'm not correct, so actually, if it were just going to be MF2A without the mixed income, it would be 36 feet, correct?
Correct.
Following the RPS. So now you're saying that with the 5% MIH, it can go up to 85 feet. And then what you said was, I'm just going ahead, was that, and I do have this question, was that in certain single-family areas, it's appropriate to have MF, which I agree. What I'm concerned about was when it said it's appropriate to have MF in some single-family neighborhoods, they weren't anticipating the MIH bonus taking it up to 8 stories. They were thinking more in terms of it being 36 feet, 6 feet taller. So my question is this sort of two things? Is this what we're going to start doing, putting 8-foot multifamily, because they're giving 5% affordable, in the middle of a single-family area that's really not in a commercial area? And number two, has there been community meetings? What do the single-family people feel about this?
Sure. So I'll start by saying that there's no such thing as precedent with zoning cases. This case will not establish a precedent for any future cases, nor does it rest on the precedent of any past cases. It must stand on its own merit.
Thank you, Mr. Mulkey. I needed that correction.
And be evaluated on its own merit. Number one. Number two, staff's analysis and recommendation does not consider any kind of community feedback. That's up to the applicant as well as city officials like yourselves to do that piece of the puzzle. However, I will say that the applicant has informed me they've done a ton of community outreach. They also forwarded some examples of that outreach to Sheriff Shadid, who shared it with the commissioners for their consideration. And as Commissioner Young asked for this to be taken off consent for this afternoon, the applicant will be able to speak to that more at that time. Other than that, you do bring up a valid point. Commissioner Young is sort of our 51A historian, so I'm sure he can tell you that we did not consider the mixed income housing program when that RPS was added. However, I will say that although the max height can go up to 85 feet, it is, just as a reminder, still subject to RPS. Basically, the way that calculates is for the first 78 feet away from a site of origination, any buildings cannot exceed 26 feet in height. And then beyond 78 feet, that's when they can start to increase their height at that 1 to 3 slope. I'm a very visual person, so the applicant has shown me concepts of his plans for the site. Where if he does provide a podium apartment style building, and that's not confirmed because again, this is just a general zoning case, but if it is provided, it would have to stay outside of that RPS slope, which would guarantee some compatibility with a single family neighborhood. So that would still apply, because again, this is not a PD, this is standard code, which staff especially is very supportive of here. We love standard code and we can use it. And then other than that, one of the sort of benefits that staff sees on this case and that the applicant has also highlighted is the proposal really incentivizes the provision of affordable housing, because if he does want to go up to 50 feet in height, he can't do that when the max height would be 36 feet. He can only do that if he provides affordable housing, which is really the intent of the mixed income housing development bonus program. There's probably way more information than you needed, but I hope I answered your question.
You did. We'd like to be just a little more definitive here, and I think you covered it, but I think Dr. Udaya has a quick comment.
Yes, thank you, Chair Shadid. RPS will continue to apply. The mixed income housing bonus does not bypass the requirement of the code for RPS, so it means that height compatibility will happen.
Commissioner Treadway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Following up on that question, I'm not a visual person, so can you tell me this starting 78 feet back where you can't exceed, and then you can't exceed starting at a 1 to 3 foot slope, what is the max? Like, could they go up to 85 on this property, or are we talking about because of the RPS, we're going to max out at some other point?
Yeah, I don't have those exact numbers because with the general zoning change, we don't do site plan review or anything like that. Sarah May had a good way of putting this, and I can't remember what it is now, but I think it's, give me 1 second. I can probably answer that question. You're making me do math, which is not my strongest suit. Okay, here's what I said in an email. Imagine a buffer extending 78 feet from any site of origination in which structures cannot exceed 26 feet in height. Beginning at the end point of this buffer, so at 78 feet, the easiest way to calculate allowable building height is to divide the distance from the site of origination by 3. So 78 divided by 3 is 26. 90 divided by 3 would be 30, 120 feet away divided by 3 would be 40, et cetera, et cetera.
So how does that apply here?
It would depend on how far away from that buffer of 78 feet the building is. That would determine the maximum allowable height.
So if you started the building 90 feet away as opposed to 78, that would impact that?
Right, it would be a maximum of 30 feet in height. If you started a building 120 feet away, then it would be 40 feet in height.
So the max is going to, and is the 78 all 4 areas? Is it?
Circular.
The buffers around, okay, so you're really talking about the height just in the center of the structure.
So BI has their own way of determining height of structures, which I physically cannot get into because I don't understand it myself. But that definition of height would be applied at permitting.
But if you have to have a buffer, again, I am not visual.
Sure.
Then you're not going to have the tallest part of the building right next to like the single family home.
No, yeah. So within that 78-foot buffer around the site of origination, the maximum height can only be 26 feet. It's only after you get out of that 78-foot buffer that the height can increase above that. And even then it's still subject, it's still subject to that 1 to 3 slope. So you can't go 26 feet and then 85 feet. It's still sloped.
Okay, that's helpful.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Commissioners, I just did a very, very rough measurement with GIS. The RPS will apply from east, west, and south, not to the north, because I see north is LI. So therefore, southeast and west, there's probably a little portion in the middle and a little portion in the back that can go up to 80, if it makes sense.
Commissioner Blair.
Good morning, and how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. I have a question in regards to lot coverage. I understand with the proposed multifamily 2 with MIH, you can go up to 85% of lot coverage, correct?
That is correct, yes ma'am.
So is there not a concern with I know it gives you more density, and I know that considering it's the closeness to a DART rail station, that's it is perceived to be appropriate, but has the density and the 85% lot coverage been considered when it means that you give up any gateway to green space, to it removes the ability to soak in any type of water? Does that mean that the applicant is going to make all of the concrete a permeable concrete, and is that something that has been addressed?
The best tool that we have under standard code to address that with mixed income housing is through the design standards that are required. So like I said, because this is not a PD, it's a general zoning change, they'll have to meet those design standards as they're codified, which includes a minimum of 10% usable open space throughout the site. And then I don't believe there would be anything in those design standards that would require permeable surface of some kind. I am kind of getting outside my lane a little bit. That's more of an engineering thing. But again, because this is standard code, it would have to meet all standard code requirements, which does include all engineering controls and things like that.
When I'm reading, I'm reading your write-up, it does not look as though that there is any consideration being given to address that from the applicant's perspective. So we're just asked to accept the general zoning standards as to what it could or could not be.
That's correct. Yeah, this is a general zoning change, which for a commission that loves to have plans and conditions and PDs and all that kind of stuff, I understand this is a bit of a leap of faith. However, staff's recommendation is that this is a good course of action to proceed forward with this project. We have assurance that if this proceeds with a straight MF2 that does allow for mixed income housing, that will lead to an outcome that we're comfortable with.
And I'm going to change topics now to Article 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we would like to move forward with more general zoning opposed to PDs because of the cumbersome nature of them. But as we move to update our Chapter 51A, maybe we can get a better visual appearance in our general zoning. But when it comes down to Chapter 10, and I believe this may be more of an engineering, and if so, I apologize, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Okay.
If we're giving them 85%, and then if they're doing Chapter 51, Article 10 for the trees and green and all that stuff, how will that lead? Will that be a possibility to manage to Article 10, the size of this development, and still stay within the rules of 10% for green space and all of the calculations that are required in order to make this a viable development?
Sure, yeah, so again, I'll reinstate that because this is a general zoning change, it will have to meet all standard code requirements in Article 4, that's all the zoning regulations, as well as the mixed income housing design standards. And again, because it's a general zoning change, it has to meet Article 10 as it's codified. There would be no deviations permitted under this zoning route. Beyond that, I would have to kick it to the city arborist for any questions about Article 10 that are more specific.
Thank you.
Can I add something? The mixed income housing bonus is a bonus. The developer may choose not to provide the affordable housing and build under the bonus. So let's not forget about it. We're not approving them and we're not telling them, oh, you have to. A bonus, is not a requirement.
We appreciate that, but what I'm trying to get to, Dr. Ujira, is that if the applicant chooses to prevail himself of that bonus, can he still meet the design standards in the general zoning of this particular site, still get his bonus, still have his benefits of the height, the density, but yet still be cognizant of the development that it's going around all these single-family houses, that you're also increasing the density and the traffic? So that's what the point that I'm trying to get to is, does the bonus allow for the applicant to design, and can we accept the fact that the design would still look palatable because it's in a sloped area, it has places that are very low next to places that are very high, and that's indicative of the southern area of Dallas. In Oak Cliff, we all have these hilly locations that that we have not developed before, can we still do a general zoning and honor all of the general zoning rules with given the bonus? That's the question that really concerns, and I bet, and I gather it may concern more than just me on the horseshoe.
Yes, the answer is otherwise they will not be able to pull the permits. So they still need to abide by all the city rules. So again, it doesn't say that they need to max out on the development rights. It needs that is a bonus if they take advantage of the bonus, and if it works and pans out and they can meet all the requirements of the code in order to pull permits, they will be able to. We cannot, and again, like with every MF2 in the city, even if it's not a general zoning change, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's still maximum. Okay. The same as everything, like maximum dwelling units, maximum.
Thank you.
Commissioner Plotkin.
Real quick, I noticed in the case report the mention of a word I've never seen before. Let me scroll back up to it. This residential traditional land use module.
I'm glad I taught you a new term today. You had a question about the land use module?
What is a module and what is residential traditional?
Sure. Yeah, so a land use module is one of the terms that's used in the Trinity Corridor Comprehensive Land Use Study. And then a land use type is sort of a subset of that module. So I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. I can probably just pull up the plan real quick.
So it's essentially a way of kind of defining zoning in a vision document, more or less.
Correct, yeah. So, some area plans, some comprehensive plans, bigger, broader goals and objectives, right? The Trinity one does have that element to it. And then it also has things that, if they had regulatory teeth, could be seen as more prescriptive. However, they don't have regulatory teeth, they're just recommendations. But it does get into very specific different land use modules for single-family residential areas, mixed-use areas, downtowns, office districts, things like that, and kind of gives some recommendations about, okay, we have this sort of mixed-use land use module. Here's what we recommend is like the breakdown of different uses within that module. We have such and such percentage residential land use type, such and such percentage office or retail or stuff like that. So that's kind of how a portion of that area plan works.
And it looks like it was created in 2005 and revised in 2009. Is this something that we're still using in visioning documents? Is it still staff best practices? Are we going to be seeing more of this?
Yeah, so I think our director had to say something about this one time, and she said it much better than I can, because that's more her area. But yeah, so any area plan that's on file with the city that had city involvement still applies, unless it's for whatever reason terminated later or replaced by another one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Commissioner Rubin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mulkey. I have just a couple quick questions to make sure I'm clear on a few things. So the RPS is like an algebra equation, right? You can either divide the height by 3 to get how far away it has to be, or you can multiply, I'm sorry, you can multiply the height times 3 to get how far away it has to be, right?
Correct.
So if we're looking at an 85-foot max height with the MIH bonus, that's 255 feet away, right?
Thank you for doing that math for me, because I hate doing math in front of people.
Roughly 85% of the way down a football field.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And then there were some questions about, water runoff if they were to max out at 85% lot coverage. If they were to go to permitting with plans that showed 85% lot coverage, what would the permitting folks look at in terms of runoff?
Just like Commissioner Blair's question earlier, the only part of that I can answer to is that because this is a general zoning change, it would just be a standard base district in Chapter 51A. They would have to meet all standard code requirements within the Dallas Development Code. So whatever the current standards are that are codified for drainage. They would have to meet that. They could not deviate from that. If you'd like more specific information, I can kick it over to David Navarez. He can speak to what kind of things they would look at permitting.
If he's here, I think it would just be helpful so we understand what the zoning people do look at, or the permitting folks do look at in terms of runoff versus what we're looking at here at the Plan Commission.
Yeah, I don't know if he's with us virtually today. Hi, David. You want to come down?
He's ramping up. Do you have another question? Then we'll come back to you. Okay, he's there.
Live and in the flesh.
Yeah, we can hop to another commissioner.
I don't. You need a second for it?
Not right now.
Yeah, so just to recap the question, it was.
Sure. So at permitting, the city engineering department does an analysis of runoff, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Can you just explain what at permitting the city engineering department does in terms of looking at runoff issues?
Good morning, Commission. David Navarez, Transportation Development Services, also on behalf of engineering. And I apologize because I feel like I wasn't ready to answer your question. I'm trying to find out exactly where we are in the agenda. However, your question is...
You're a very busy and important man, so...
No, sir. I just got here from my desk, but your question is general, and so I'll just very briefly say every project has to come through engineering review. Engineering staff makes a determination of whether the site is significantly large enough to consider full engineering or permit only. Regardless, both paths lead to a grading and paving and drainage plan. Requires civil engineers to evaluate the water drainage and runoff. We use coefficients to understand where water is going to fall to and go to before and after development. Lot-to-lot drainage is not allowed in the city of Dallas, and therefore water either needs to be detained. Staff would prefer to have water proceed into a stormwater drainage inlet where it can be directed into a main line. However, as an option, the city standards also allow for detention within the site. That is a requirement for all projects in the city of Dallas, regardless of size or land use.
And what would happen if an applicant submitted civil plans that the city engineer concluded would lead to lot-to-lot drainage? What would happen? What would they have to do?
That is not an option. If there's lot-to-lot drainage, it has to be either detained or the water needs to run in a different direction by means of infrastructure, channels, or slope, changes in slope.
So they'd essentially, if there were a plan that contained lot-to-lot drainage that was submitted, they'd have to essentially resubmit and eliminate the lot-to-lot drainage, right?
That is correct. And for that matter, the first round of reviews that we often get, not all the time, most of the engineers that do business in the city of Dallas understand city standards, but there are cases where our first review shows a minimal amount of drainage into another adjacent lot or places where ponding may become an issue. And so that's part of our staff's review, and then it turns into a series of reviews until all the water drainage is addressed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Houserath, followed by Commissioner Young.
Real quick, one thing I want to add to that, that's a general thing, and I think David might be able to back me up on this, is so currently this is an undeveloped piece of property that doesn't have to meet really any code requirements other than no dumping or, something code compliance would look at. The fact that it's proposed to be developed and go through the development and review process means that it would have to comply with all city code requirements, including drainage. So, there's commonly a perception that if a property is developed, it will increase drainage issues in the area, which is possible, but at the very least, developing the property would make it have to comply with engineering code. So just something to think about.
Commissioner Houserath.
Thank you. Vice Chair Rubin covered the ground I was going to cover. Thank you.
Commissioner Young, please.
Yes, Mr. Mulkey, as you correctly point out, at the time of 51A, we didn't have the concept of mixed income housing. But it's true, is it not, that at the time we developed the MIH bonuses, we considered the question of whether the bonuses should include relief from the proximity slope and decided that they shouldn't.
I was not here at that time, but I would guess.
Would that
yes.
surprise you?
It would not surprise me to learn that that happened, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Ryan, I can answer if you'd like.
Oh, hi, Pam. Yes, please go ahead.
Hi. Commissioner Young is correct. We had a long conversation about this, particularly because MIHDB developments were likely to be used in these transitioning areas. And so we wanted to ensure that both the requirement that doors and windows face the street, doors and windows that are facing the street, 60% of them actually have to open and connect to the street directly to give a little more neighborhood feel. And then that, yes, RPS would apply. Sure, you can go to 85, you can go to whatever the bonus allows you, but there's no relief from RPS. And it's, when we wrote these requirements, there was a deal that didn't actually get built that had similar design issues, similar potential design connection to the neighborhood issues, and some height issues. And we had long conversations with the community for that project. And those conversations actually informed the design requirements here. And the idea is so that if you have this multifamily that comes in and uses the bonus, that they meet the street a little more gently than they would under straight MF zoning, for exactly these reasons of being near single family housing and needing that sort of more gentle meeting of the street. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you, Ms. Thompson. A couple of questions for you, Mr. Mulkey, but before I do, just answer Commissioner Young's question. Absolutely, yes. I was on ZARC at the time, and I know we did a very thorough review of the RPS, and we very firmly landed on its continuing application to MIH. Mr. Mulkey, I'm hoping you can take me around the site a little bit. I had the opportunity to visit the site, but I want to, you said that we could check your work in terms of the 10-minute walk to transit.
Yeah, I can pull
Which I did, but I want to, maybe you can put a little map to show us kind of where it's at.
Sure.
So I had my tennis shoes on.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
I think, let's see, so how can...
Okay, so approximate address of 760 Ridge Street is one of the parcels that make up the request area right at the end of the existing Ridge Street. And this is Google telling us that it is a 10-minute walk to the Dallas Sioux DART rail station, right here along all these streets that, again, for the most part, have existing sidewalks, which is pretty cool. And then for the Morrill Station to the east. Come on, Google. Our lovely Wi-Fi network. Maybe.
Mr. Mullick, it's okay. I mean, it's.
Sorry.
I think you made the point. Can you put the, kind of the area, does that turn into a Google map, what's up now? Like a satellite?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, so the property is here, Dallas Sioux Station is here.
Okay.
And Morrill Station's here.
So you have RPS projecting from the south, east, and west?
I do not have that on hand.
No, but this site does have, its RPS is projecting from three sides.
Correct, yes.
So, I'm going to ask you to do probably the impossible to imagine what you haven't seen, because we didn't get a site plan or elevations, but if you have RPS projecting from three sides, is it rational to look at this and think that, in fact, if there is any height, it's going to be pushed to the LI there to the north?
Correct, yes.
And then number two, I did visit the site, did not go on the site, but I did visit the site, and I could see it's pretty heavily wooded, lots of trees. And as you know, Article 10 provides several options for developers to deal with heavily wooded area. Many times developers choose to write a check. It's an option. On a property like this, and again, I didn't run the numbers. I don't know the number of trees, but it would seem that it might be a pretty hefty check. I mean, it might even be $1 million or more.
I can't give the number, but yeah, that would be a pretty large number, yeah.
Okay, so in your experience, and again, asking you to do the impossible, but wouldn't that alone kind of help push the development in a way where, the 85% lot coverage number seems kind of a scary thing, but we have hard-coded into the code already, numbers that are probably not going to make that applicable on this site, plus it's heavily wooded, which again would possibly, push the applicant to cut a big chunk of this in order to meet mitigation requirements.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so the lot coverage is just one development standard, one development required. There's all the other ones that zoning looks at, setbacks and heights and density and all that kind of stuff that provides, limitations on the property. And then that's just Article 4 of the Development Code. There's also everything the city arborist looks at, like tree mitigation and engineering and, all those other, fire department, all those other disciplines that are looking at a piece of property that goes beyond just what we do, which is zoning, and zoning only.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Any other questions? I'm going to look here first. No. Questions on this side? Any questions from our folks online? Thank you very much, Mr. Mulkey.
Thank you.
Commissioners, we'll keep moving. Just for the record, Commissioner Hampton has joined us at 9:56 a.m. Good morning. Then we will take up number 13, and then before we get to our cases under advisement, we'll go back and pick up the other cases from D2. Ms. Munoz, back to you.
Okay, can everyone see my next presentation?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. This next one is Z212-310. It's an application for renewal of SUP number 2355 for a late hours establishment that's limited to an alcoholic beverage establishment operated as a bar, lounge, or tavern. The property is zoned PD number 842, which is for CR Community Retail District uses, and the applicant is requesting to continue to operate the bar, lounge, or tavern, which has approximately 1,540 square feet of floor area past midnight, and it's called Ship's Lounge. The property is between Ross and Greenville Avenues. It's on the south end of Lower Greenville. Here's an aerial map showing that property. As you can see, it's kind of a triangular property here. It's one suite within a plaza that they've done the meets and bounds for to only have the SUP on that specific section. So here's the zoning and surrounding land use map. Most properties surrounding the site are all PD 842, and except for to the southwest where we have PD 462, which has a restaurant or personal service use right over here, and to the west where we have CR District, northwest here. All surrounding properties have retail or personal service uses, except for a self-storage to the northeast. The overall site has over 24,000 square feet within this shopping center. The applicant began operating Ship's Lounge back in 1965. And in this PD, anything that operates between the hours of midnight and 2 a.m. is considered a late hours establishment and requires an SUP. So this bar that currently exists operates from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. the next day, 7 days a week, which requires that late hours SUP. Now, the SUP history on this site, it was initiated back in 2011, and under a different SUP number 1922, they were granted a 4-year time frame, and then they returned 4 years later and were renewed. They were denied renewal. And then from 2015 to 2018, there was no SUP at the site. And then back in 2020, they returned and created this new SUP, which they're requesting renewal of. At that time, they were given a 1-year period, which was then renewed back in 2021 for a 2-year period. And now we have the current request at hand. So here are the photos from Ross Avenue of this retail plaza. Those are the adjacent uses. And then in here, you see Ship's Lounge, which is this one right here with the sign posted on the window. This is looking at that same property from Greenville Avenue, so the east. And this is the separation between that plaza and the next one over. Here are the surrounding uses. We're looking south on Ross Avenue at the adjacent commercial plaza. And then there's a restaurant with drive-through to the northwest. That's that other PD. and other retail uses located across Ross Avenue. Restaurants right on the corner of that triangular site, and then the self-storage, which also has U-Haul trucks. Retail. There are no changes proposed to the existing site plan. That's the actual SUP area there for ships. And staff recommendation is approval for three view period, subject to conditions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Munoz. Questions, commissioners? Commissioner Hampton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Munoz. Just a couple of quick questions. This is an SUP renewal. There's no proposed change to the conditions. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And this is, I think, as you mentioned in your case report, the third renewal for the current SUP with the current operators. Is that correct?
Yes.
And have you received any community concerns or input from the various stakeholders in the area on this request?
No, I have not.
Okay. Then I guess you would not be aware that it has been evaluated by the surrounding neighborhood and stakeholder groups that are all been contacted on the request.
No, I'm trying to think if I may have forgotten something on this one, but I don't think so. No, I haven't
Okay.
received anything.
Well, thank you. I can advise the commission that I have had that outreach and understand that there's general support for this. So thank you, Ms. Munoz. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on this item, commissioners, before we move on? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Munoz. Commissioners, we'll go back to case number 2. Ms. Seaton, thank you so much.
Case M212048. This is a approval of a site plan to provide relief for a street front facing requirement through PD 317 in the Cedars Area Special District Purpose District in Subdistrict 4. This is along Luis Avenue. It's 1.22887 acres. It's on the southeast corner of Good Latimer and Luis Avenue in District 2. This item was held under advisement at the November 17th meeting. This is located just a little bit southeast of downtown. And this is the aerial map, the zoning map, and a little bit about the background of this property. This is a requirement from the PD itself. What they are asking for is relief from 70% to 64%. And it's only affecting the property on Luis Avenue, the street front facing facade. So I gave the calculations at the bottom. So the lot width is 369 feet, and what the requirement is 258 feet and 4 inches, and they're asking for a reduction. And there's the reason why is they have a floodplain corner that needs to be revised, and a billboard sign easement along the northeast property line. So this is the ordinance requirement. And these are the surrounding areas. There's just, it's in our industrial area, but this property is going to be revised or looked at. The north facing is just a parking lot across Luis Avenue. This is the intersection off of Luis and Good Latimer. And the east view of Luis and the 130, I-35, 350, 345 overpass. And so you'll see the proposed site plan. And this is the detail of what we are, or what you will be voting on or reviewing. And this is the plat that we did submit, so you can see the easement areas. And this is the elevation that the applicant has provided. And staff is recommending approval subject to the site plan.
Members, any questions? Commissioner Hampton.
Thank you. Ms. Seaton, thank you very much. I think you've heard these questions before, but I would like to have them on the record. So want to start by thanking you for bringing back the elevations and helping us understand the variance. The variance itself is roughly about 10%. Is that correct from what the base requirement is in the PD?
Well, it's not a variance. It's
Or not a variance, excuse me, yes.
Yes, it's a relief.
In exception, thank you. Part of this is being caused by the floodplain requirements that's placing the finished floor elevation approximately 6 feet above the adjacent sidewalk. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so in order to have access to the lobby that's also on the corner of Louise Street, there's both a ramp that, again, because of that height difference, is creating a setback in the face of the facade. Is that correct?
Correct.
And is there any requirement, either in our code or in the PD, that speaks to how that facade is treated when we're going to have that sort of blank facade area?
Yes, but it's only on the primary street, which Luis is, or Good Latimer is considered a primary street in this PD.
Could it comply, though, with street activation because of that height? In other words, if you have to have your finished floor at 6 feet, you by default are going to end up with a blank facade in order to meet that requirement. Is that correct?
Correct, but there is streetscape, streetscape section. It's an Exhibit 0, or Exhibit O, sorry.
Right, and so there's some landscaping, but nothing that we would consider, sort of honoring the intent of having some street activation. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And I guess just one kind of global comment. I know we're seeing a number of these. I know we have our Mill Creek drainage plan that's underway right now that will bring this down a bit. I think I've been advised that it's about a 2-foot variance, so we'd still end up with 4 feet. Is that anything that should be considered in the future by the Plan Commission as we're continuing to develop and seeing these greater and greater variances in our finished floor and our adjacent streetscapes? Or is that anything that staff has evaluated?
Staff is evaluating all case by case. So, but yes, it should be reviewed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Seaton. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Members, additional questions? All right, thank you so much, Ms. Seaton. I believe our next case is number 8. Mr. Mulkey.
All right, next case I have for you is Z212-259. The request is for a new tract within Plan Development Subdistrict number 128 of Plan Development District number 193, the Oak Lawn Special Purpose District. It's located on the northwest line of Hudnall Street between Denton Drive and Denton Drive Cutoff. And it's approximately 4.42 acres. Location map showing the property and city limits. Aerial map with the full PDS number 128 outlined in blue. Zoning map with surrounding districts and land uses. Zoned a GR district within PD 193. To the northwest is a multifamily use that's currently under construction. To the northeast and the southeast are single-family uses zoned an R75 district within PD 193. Also multifamily to the southeast zoned an MF2 district within PD 193. Within a local commercial, I think that's what that means, district within PD 193 is an alcoholic beverage establishment as well as a liquor store. And to the west are auto service and mini warehouse uses. So it's currently zoned PDS number 128 within PD number 193, and it is developed with a multifamily property. At the time of adoption of this PDS, council added a provision that surface parking is limited to one row of spaces along Hudnall Street in front of the building facade between Fleetwood Oaks Avenue and Denton Drive. It's sort of assumed that this speaks to head-in surface parking in front of the building. This would be permitted separately from the parallel spaces that have been built along Hudnall Drive, as well as the private drive along the northwest boundary of the site, so on the other side of the site. This provision that was adopted effectively prohibits surface parking anywhere else on site, so the applicant is currently unable to utilize those parallel spaces along Hudnall and along the private drive. To amend this, they propose a new track within PDS number 128 that would apply only to the multifamily site and allow the use of these parallel spaces. No other changes are proposed to the existing conditions. However, they also propose to add a conceptual plan exhibit to this PDS outlining the boundaries of their proposed tract. So some site photos. This is on Hudnall Street looking north. You can see some of those parallel spaces there that are kind of dipped into the site. Moving in a northeast direction along Hudnall, you can see some more of those existing parallel spaces. And then this is on Denton Drive looking northwest, coming around to the back of the site. And this is looking at that private drive along the northwest boundary of the PDS where you can see those other parallel spaces. And then this is off Hudnall Street, looking northeast at the southwest edge of the site. And surrounding uses, this is the multifamily southeast of the site, some of the single family to the southeast, more single family uses that are adjacent. This is northeast of the site. And this is the multifamily development to the northwest that's currently under construction. This is the applicant's proposed conceptual plan. You can see they're outlining their site as subarea A, and then the remainder of the PDS would be designated subarea B. And staff's recommendation is approval, subject to a conceptual plan and conditions, and I'm available for any questions.
Commissioners, questions for Mr. Mulkey? Commissioner Hampton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Mulkey, thank you for the briefing. I know we've had some correspondence on this. Is it correct that the spaces that are along Hudnall are in the public right-of-way and are not on-street parking, or excuse me, they are on-street parking, not off-street?
I believe that is the case, yes. I think that's the verdict that was reached.
And is it correct that there is a separate section of the code that actually governs on-street parking for public streets as well as private streets?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and so this amendment is requested because there's been an interpretation on the private drive, the northwest boundary of the site as the conditions are proposed. Is that correct?
That's my understanding. Yeah, I think the applicant isn't currently able to apply those spaces to their minimum required parking. So they're essentially not able to utilize them.
And I see the applicant is here if we need to get a clarification on that. I think they have all their required parking, that these are actually just additional convenient spaces that are provided.
Yes, that could also possibly be the case.
Thank you. So is it correct that we should not be referencing the Hudnall Drive spaces in our off-street parking requirements?
Right, yeah, so for that off-street parking section of the PD, the added language that's in the report should really just reference that private drive along the northwest boundary, not Hudnall Street.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mulkey.
Thank you.
Members, any additional questions? Mr. Hampton, are you good leaving this one on consent? Okay, great.
And if you'd like me to say that out loud,
Okay.
yes, with the revised language to remove Hudnall Drive.
Okay, great. All right, we briefed number 13, so we are on to case, 10. I am sorry. I have not had my caffeine this morning. Mr. Pepe, number 10.
Hello and good morning. Item 10 is coming right up. Okay, item 10 is Z212296. This is an application for an amendment to and a renewal of specific use permit number 2189 for a recycling buyback center on property zoned in IM Industrial Manufacturing District located on the northeast line of Berry Avenue between Upshur Street and East Grand Avenue. The purpose of the request is to renew the SUP for an existing recycling buyback center for the collection of household and industrial metals in order to allow continued operation of the existing facility on the site. It's about 6 acres. And it's located here, east of downtown, east of Fair Park. Here's the site as it exists today. Area of request reflects previous SUP approvals. To the northeast, there's industrial indoor uses and warehousing. South across Berry Avenue are single-family, multifamily, mixed residential, and more multifamily all along Berry. The area of request is developed currently as a recycling buyback center with an associated warehousing building. The applicant is proposing to renew the SUP with minor amendments to the conditions, reflecting the conditions accurately as they exist today. The existing facility consists of a 2,000 square foot recycling building, an office, and a roughly 119,000 square foot sorting warehouse. The applicant is not proposing changes to the facility or site plan. The proposed use is allowable in the IM district, subject to a SUP only. Here's that existing site plan that they're not proposing any changes to. This has been their site plan through their course of operations. And now we go to the site. So this is looking at it from Berry Avenue across the street. That's the more northerly portion of the building. This is still across Berry Avenue looking towards the facility. You can see the loading docks there. And then this is farther south on Berry looking north towards the property. So we kind of walked down the street as we moved through slides. And then this is some of the parking area, but I believe you can see the recycling collection and drop-off building there in blue in the left frame. So then across the street, we've got multifamily, currently built out today, some single family as well, and additional single family, and we are looking north up the street. So their proposed conditions remain similar to how they have been approved in the past. This particular use is limited to a maximum of 2 years of approvals per code. That's in the definition of the use, and so thus that's the time period that they've requested and have requested throughout the years. And so those are all remaining the same. Other conditions include the licensing condition, outdoor storage is prohibited, and then through working with the applicant, we added a couple conditions, those being exterior lighting must be directed away from adjoining residential properties, and the property may have no more than 12 loading docks as shown on the site plan. These conditions, the applicant and I agree, reflect the conditions on the site at this time. They are to line up the conditions more closely with the existing conditions, and so they should not have a problem meeting these conditions as they are met today. And so staff recommendation is approval for a 2-year period subject to conditions. Do I have any questions?
Commissioner Hampton, I see you have one.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pepe. Just to follow up, the added conditions, as you stated, were reviewed with the applicant. These will help ensure that the facility and its operations remain compatible with their adjacent residential uses. Is that correct?
I would say yes.
And I think you may be aware that, and it showed in your photos from your site visit, that there are some overhead doors that face onto Berry Street. By defining the loading docks and their location on the site plan, that helps ensure that the existing uses remain internal to the site. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. And we each went through the site plan, myself and the applicants went through the site plan and identified where those loading docks were, and we were in agreement that the existing is 12 and it should remain as such, and they're fine with that.
And is it correct that there's only one ingress and egress point for vehicular access for this site? It's part of a larger complex, but this site is served by one point of access. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. The actual drop-off area for recycling has that one ingress egress, and that's pictured right here on the more southward side of the site, and you can see it here. So that is the primary point of ingress egress. Of course, it is part of a larger complex, but where the recycling drop-off happens in this blue building, access through this one ingress egress.
Thank you. And I know in the past, I'm going to say trash and debris generally, it's a recycling, so they're obviously receiving a lot of cardboard paper. It's been a question that's come up. On your site visit, did you see any evidence of that?
I would say it was a pretty well-kept site, and I didn't see evidence of debris or anything like that. Obviously, outside storage is prohibited by the conditions, outside storage being 24 hours or more of items being outside, and I didn't see evidence of that.
And are you aware in your conversations with the applicant that they actually have staff who helps monitor and stay on top of the trash to try to mitigate that?
I am.
Thank
aware.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Pepe.
Commissioner Young?
Mr. Chair, as a personal indulgence, let me just say I can close my eyes and see the late Commissioner Neil Emmons wrangling this case through its first SUP grant.
I remember that. Oh, boy.
Anyone else? All right, thank you so much, Mr. Pepe.
We actually need to get off immediately, yeah.
What time are we coming back?
11:45, we're losing the feed, so we have to shut it down for a break.
Great, we'll be back at 11:45, everyone.
So. $5 a.m. and we are back on the record. We will continue with case number 14, Z201111. Mr. Pepe, remind me, this has not been briefed, is that correct? Thank you very much.
It is. right in the middle of the day, so I'll say good day. This is Z201111. It's an application for Subdistrict 6 within Plan Development District 830 on properties zoned Tract 1C within Plan Development District number 160. The purpose of the request is to permit the development of office use on the site. The area request is 0.172 acres. It's located in Oak Cliff. It's currently developed with a single-family home. The property is zoned Tract 1C within Plan Development District number 160 which uses our 7.5 single-family district from the Chapter 51 pre-transition as a base. PD 160 was approved in 1983 and has been amended 3 times subsequently. The PD contains approximately 133 acres divided into 6 subdistricts. PD 830 was established on August 11, 2010, and is divided into 8 subdistricts. Subdistrict 6 functions as a mixed-use district with design standards. The purpose of the request is to utilize the existing building for an office or restaurant without drive-in or drive-through use. Here is the property as it stands today within the zoning district. Unfortunately, my uses have disappeared from this map, but I will describe them. To the north, there is a single-family use. To the east, there is a multifamily use. To the south, there is a financial institution. To the west, there's a single-family and a restaurant. Here's the aerial map of the site. This is on the sidewalk on the property looking north. Then this is looking south. That's Davis, is the main arterial at the front of the image. And the restaurant that's adjacent. And then that's the subject property as it stands right now. And there's a home across Madison, looking west. Here's a comparison table of the development standards between the 2 districts. They're not altering the PD in a amendment sense. They're going from one PD subdistrict to another without alteration of those. So it functions similarly to like a general zoning change in that we're going from one category to another. PD 161C is most similar to a single-family only subdistrict, and PD 830 subdistrict 6 is a mixed-use district. In some ways, functions similar to like a form district. It has more expanded uses, but it has more design standards at the same time, and those are described here. So staff recommendation is approval, subject to a revised Exhibit 830A.
Thank you very much. Questions, Commissioner Young?
Yes, does block face continuity apply to the front yard setback under the proposed new zoning?
I can confirm that for you, but I don't recall if it's mentioned in, so PD 830 doesn't use a base district. It's a, it's a unique creation.
It's its own thing.
So my understanding is it wouldn't apply because it doesn't lean on the regulations of a base district.
Okay, if this were Jeopardy, I would say, is that your final answer? or do you want me to circle back to you at the hearing?
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I said, or do you want me to circle back to you at the hearing?
Let's circle back. I'll dig into that. PD 830.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. Commissioner Carpenter, please.
Yes, although the expressed intent of the applicant is to do a restaurant without drive-through or PD, a restaurant without drive-through or an office, this is basically just what's not exactly a straight zoning change, but you're just changing from a residential PD to a PD that is mixed use. They could theoretically do any use that's allowed in PD 830.
It is a mixed use zoning district, so various uses are allowed. This is not this is not one of those amendments where it is only single-use outcome or what have you, so there are a variety of uses.
It could be multifamily, duplex.
Correct, yes. And
yes.
so there are multifamily uses in PD 830 Subdistrict 6. There are neighborhood scale commercial uses as well, including office.
Was any consideration given by staff to the fact that these boundaries between these PDs were very carefully negotiated at the time the PDs were created to draw a clear line of demarcation between the existing single-family neighborhood and the redeveloping commercial corridor or mixed-use corridor?
I'm not sure if that is there. There are different blocks where the zoning varies from lot to lot. We see that pattern farther west, where some are in PD 830, some are not. So it varies where these properties are, just delineated between the two PDs. So there's a similar example of where it's not a straight line over farther west, and that's on Bishop, for instance. And Bishop, PD 830 itself goes up Bishop.
No, I realize it's not a straight line, but there are so many different sub-districts in that 830, and my understanding, well, I was involved in the process at the time to some extent, that those boundaries were carefully delineated sub-district by sub-district, but thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Carpenter. Commissioner Popkin, please.
I'm curious how, from a procedural perspective, applications proceed through the application process as ownership changes. Can you tell me a little bit more about how we manage that internally?
If we become aware of an ownership change, we need to see a new deed that proves that the application, or just tells us who the owner is, just like we need a deed for a new application. So we do need to see a deed, and then if they have a representative, they have to authorize that new owner has to authorize the representative if that representation is to remain the same.
Okay, so that's the process that's been done on this case, is checking
That's
the
correct.
deeds and
Yes.
making
So,
sure that
yeah.
the new owner's on board with the application.
As it was originally submitted, it was a different owner. We became aware of a different owner and asked for a deed, and so we have the new deed of the owner and have that chain of authorization to the representative.
Are you aware of any use on that site right now?
It appears from the outside as a single-family home still.
Do you know whether staff looked into a nearby resident's complaint that things were being stored and the facility was being used as a storage facility for a neighboring restaurant?
I haven't heard that. We haven't received that complaint.
Okay, I thought staff was included on that email. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Pepe. Move to our next case, number 15. I believe this one has not been briefed before. Is that correct, Commissioner Carpenter?
It has not.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Next case I have for you is Z212-244. The request is for a CS Commercial Service District on property zoned in AA Agricultural District. It's now with consideration for an LI Light Industrial District with deed restrictions volunteered by the applicant. It's located on the southwest line of North Johnson Way, west of North Walton Walker Boulevard, and it's about 13 acres. Location map showing the property within city limits. It is just along the boundary of the city of Dallas with the city of Grand Prairie. Aerial map with the property outlined in blue. Zoning map with surrounding land uses. To the north, zoned agricultural is undeveloped. Within the city of Grand Prairie to the west is also undeveloped property. To the east is outside storage, also zoned ag. And then to the south, zoned IR is undeveloped property. It's currently zoned an ag district and it's undeveloped. The applicant proposes to develop the property with warehouses. The original request was for a CS district. However, on November 3rd, CPC held this item under advisement to today's meeting with instructions to staff to advertise for an LI district with deed restrictions volunteered by the applicant. These deed restrictions would prohibit some of the uses that would otherwise be permitted in the base LI district. So some site photos. This is on North Johnson Way looking southwest. And then we're just kind of going in a southerly direction along that driveway. You can see it's undeveloped today. And surrounding uses. This is a wonderful spot to go do donuts if ever you guys are looking to blow off some steam. This is on North Johnson Way looking northeast, excuse me. On North Johnson Way looking west at the property to the north, and on North Johnson Way looking east. These are the development standards of the existing AA district, as well as the originally proposed CS district and the LI district, which is under consideration. Biggest differences between CS and LI. 30-foot setback adjacent to residential, whereas in CS it would be a 20-foot setback. Slightly more permissive FAR standards. Max height would be 70 feet rather than 45 feet. Same lot coverage. RPS, visual intrusion, would both apply. And then, of course, similar uses, although, like I said, with these deed restrictions, some of those uses would be prohibited. With that, staff's recommendation is approval of an LI Light Industrial District with deed restrictions volunteered by the applicant in lieu of a CS Commercial Service District, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Questions, Commissioner Carpenter?
Mr. Mulkey, I know you and I have gone through this, but for the record, is it your understanding that this is a former City of Dallas landfill site, and as such, it was a place where material from the RSR lead smelter plant was dumped, including battery chips and slag and casings, and has been monitored by the EPA since that time and is not considered to be suitable for residential uses?
I'll say on the record that's outside the scope of zoning and land use review. However, I am aware of that information.
All right, thank you. And also, last question, the CS zoning would have limited them to 45 feet, and the warehouse they are proposing building requires a bit more than that, in the low 50s, I believe. And even if they went to the 70 feet of height that's allowed by LI, there's no residential proximity slope issue.
That's correct. There's no surrounding residential properties that would trigger that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners, on this item? I can't see our folks online. If there's any questions there, please speak up. Okay, we'll keep moving. Next case.
Okay, next case is Z212-249. This has been briefed before, so I'm going to give sort of a truncated version of that. This is an application for an MF2A multifamily district on property zoned in IR Industrial Research District, and it now includes consideration for a WR3 walkable urban residential district. It's located on the southeast line of Kimsey Drive, northeast of Maple Avenue, and it's about 0.17 acre. A little bit of background on this one. It's currently zoned in IR district and developed with a single family use. The applicant proposes to redevelop the site with multifamily under MF2A district standards. What we said originally was that staff has no objection to the requested land use, but we did recommend a WR3 form district due to the denser urban character of the surrounding neighborhood. On November 3rd, CPC held this item under advisement to today with instructions to staff to advertise for a WR3 walkable urban residential district. And with that, staff's recommendation is now approval of a WR3 walkable urban residential district in lieu of an MF2A multifamily district. Available for any questions.
We do have questions. Commissioner Hampton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Moki, is it correct that the applicant is supportive of this revised request?
That's my understanding, yes.
And is it consistent with the other two recent cases that have also been reviewed by this body along Kimsey?
That's Z212231 and Z212175, yes.
And the design standards within the WR3 are generally consistent with the surrounding PDs or deed restrictions that are applicable on other multifamily sites in the area?
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions? Okay, we'll keep moving. Good afternoon, Ms. Alguer.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Okay, item 17 is Z212261. An application for a specific use permit for a public school other than an open enrollment charter school on property zoned in R75A Single Family District in an area bounded by Boaz Street, West Greenway Boulevard, Glenwick Lane, and Inwood Road, approximately 8.65 acres. Location map in D13. Property is surrounded by some duplex uses to the south across Glenwick, single family to the east across the Greenway, also some multifamily. To the north, there's a commercial center, a drive-through pharmacy at the corner there. And then to the west across Inwood Road, you have a bank, some undeveloped property, and some office spaces as well. Area request is currently zoned, and it's the entire block currently zoned, currently developed with a public middle school and academy, a Longfellow Career Exploration Academy, and the applicant proposes to construct a new middle school and then demolish the existing school. There is an existing plat, and like a number of the cases that you've seen before you for schools already, this was a PD application and was amended to a request for an SUP. Main reason for the original request had to do with landscaping. and the timing of that is able to be extended through the base code. So on November 17th, at that hearing, the case was held under advisement to today's date. We received a new submission on November 23rd. That's what you see included in the case report. And then the current status of the staff comments that were in the original report have been updated to show current status on pages 3 through 5 and 7 through 9 in the traffic section and in the land use compatibility section. Just a chart showing development standards. This is in your case report. But again, because this is an SUP, it's going to need to follow base development standards with some exceptions that have been given for institutional uses such as additional lot coverage, some additional, less restriction on height, although I don't think that there's a massive height intended on any of these schools. I haven't seen one more than 2 stories yet. No minimum lot area, and everything else is basically the same. I will point out at this location that although it has 4 frontages under the base code, Glenwick Lane and Boaz Street, the streets to the north and south on the site plan, are considered front yards, and Inwood Road and West Greenway would be considered side yards, with the appropriate setbacks on the side being 10. Starting near the entrance to the commercial center at the north of the site and just working my way around. This is currently there's like a circle drive here. This is the exit point and a secondary entrance to the school. Main entrance to the school is mid-block. This is the egress or ingress point with current signage, and then you see to the right in this photo an access point for current parking. Over on Inwood Road, this is mid-block. There's another circle drive currently at this location. The current proposal has this as an exit point for buses. Corner at Inwood and Glenwick. Surrounding the school currently, you see a 4-foot fence similar to this with pedestrian access points spaced throughout. It's my understanding from the applicant that the play areas and things like that are available to the neighborhood after school hours. It's currently a vehicular access point, an unofficial vehicular access point over the curb on Glenwick. And then again, working our way around the tree line to the left in this photograph. This is on Glenwick, and this is where you will see the current bus queuing being proposed. The city arborist has indicated that there shouldn't be a conflict with buses queuing at this point because the trees can be trimmed and rounded up in a way that it shouldn't interfere or cause damage to the trees. Working our way around Greenway, existing portables, existing outdoor play area. This is an existing service yard and kind of an example of what the city tries to move away from in terms of accessing something and then having to maneuver on the public right-of-way. And then back looking along Boaz Street from where that commercial center entrance is. Surrounding uses, this is the drive-through pharmacy at the corner of Inwood and Boaz. Various retail across Inwood. The bank across Inwood, and the office spaces. Multifamily at the corner, southwest corner. And then the duplexes along Glenwick. Along Greenway, this area is single family across from the school at this location, but it's the side yard for single families in this area, so they're not fronting at this location. Multifamily at the corner, at Boaz near the commercial access point, and then back around the front of the school. So the previously proposed SUP site plan is what you're seeing on the screen right now. Based on staff comments, they made some adjustments. The main adjustment that is still a concern for staff, you'll see at the southwest, planned southwest here with the bus access point. The initial comment was to remove the access points along Glenwick, and also with a side comment that any curb cut would need to be a minimum of 100 feet from that intersection, based on Inwood Road being a major thoroughfare planned street. So the applicant opted to angle the drive, which created its own issues. An angled drive like this is not ideal for visibility, and we are pending further revisions from the applicant. Also asked the applicant to address this area at the southeast corner of the site, where they've added some loading spaces and have some maneuvering of delivery vehicles on the public right-of-way. This is the originally proposed TMP, and similarly the revised version that we are awaiting further revisions and comments from the applicant. I've added a couple of staff recommended SUP conditions to the PowerPoint just so you can see the language of this. It's in the case report, but as the SUP ordinance language develops, we're coming up with some standard language. You'll start to see these in all of the SUP conditions moving forward, having to do with unobstructed sidewalk width at schools and then some pedestrian amenities along the street frontages. Staff recommendation is to hold under advisement to February 2, 2023, since there are still fairly substantial issues that need to be resolved and may or may not need a bit of redesign. Questions?
I'm sure we will have some questions. Commissioner Stanner, please.
Thank you for that. My understanding was that yesterday we had a meeting with the 4 principals of DISD and David Navarez and you, and I understood that, in fact, it had been agreed upon that the driveway would not be angled, it would be straight. And then in conjunction with that, there were 2 more requests that David Navarez had, which was to have no parking on the north side of Glenwick, to include that, and to also have no entrance on Glenwick from Inwood, and that would solve any safety issues from having the angled driveway. Did you understand that as happening yesterday?
David, can you please, I think all of these, sorry, I don't know what's happening with the mics. I think you need so I think our recommendation to hold, I don't think I know, our recommendation to hold is because we want to make sure that engineering is signing off on the design that the engineer certifies to be the safest. So I wasn't at the meetings, and again, there were last minute meetings. We had council yesterday, so I'll let David explain if there is a solution. I would, again, caution us. I don't know if we've seen revised TMP or revised site plan. I think the revised site plan is going to follow after the revised TMP is agreed and is received, and again, is addressing engineering comments. So, David, I'm here to back if you need me.
Good afternoon, Commission. David Navarez, Development Services, Transportation Development Services on behalf of engineering. We did have a meeting last night where we had an opportunity to go over all items that remain pending as of last night. It is my understanding that the district's consultants have a plan to address all of the comments that we discussed, including changes to operations. Those changes include installing signs that say "Do not enter." One question that was brought up was, well, if I live on Glenwick, how do I know that there will be a "Do not enter" signs within certain times of the day? And that's very important. This is why we have these meetings. If I was a neighbor, I haven't been informed that there will be, there's nothing in the report that speaks of the parking restrictions. Those parking restrictions are needed because buses are going to show up there at certain times of the day, and if there's a car parked there, well, that bus is going to have to either park on the side at an angle right behind and then walk around, or end up parking on Glenwick. And so that means that the TMP isn't complete. The TMP needs to be revised to show those changes. We agreed, thankfully, that that angled driveway isn't the best suitable solution to the city standard of driveway proximity to an intersection. So all that said, I am very thankful to the district's consultants to give us an opportunity to go over those comments. It is my understanding that the district has a plan to address all of them, but we haven't seen the revised TMP as of now. Thank you.
Yes, from Ms. Algar. The informal driveway that comes up over the curb, is that at roughly the location of the driveway we're talking about now?
No, that informal driveway is mid-block where you see a pedestrian pathway on the current site plan. So that's going to be.
And what is
right
it informally servicing right now?
So initially, it was another curb cut, and staff comments were to remove all the curb cuts along Glenwick. So they removed that curb cut, turned it into a 10-foot wide pedestrian path. I'm not sure what it's serving.
All right, thank you.
Questions, commissioners? Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. We'll keep moving. Next item is number 18. Back to you, Ms. Munoz. Updates? Okay. Ms. Munoz, if you have any updates, I believe this one has been briefed before.
Correct. So I do have the revised items in here, although I don't see very many changes. The gist of it is that I see that the fence that I had told them to remove from the site plan and TMP, they added it back and added back a provision in the conditions that states that the fencing would be required. Those are really the only changes. I'm happy to go over to the plans, but I do have to warn you that they have not been fully reviewed by staff since they were submitted after the docket was finalized. Would anyone like to see those?
This has had a complete briefing, in fact. Okay, so commissioners, any questions on this item then? Okay, thank you, Ms. Munoz. We'll see you at the hearing. We'll move on to case number 19. This one has also been fully briefed. Do we have any updates?
Excuse me. I tried to be as detailed as possible in the case report. Basically, there were two site plans and TMPs that were included in the case report, one dated 11/17, one dated 11/23. Of the two, staff recommends the 11/17 version of the TMP and site plan, subject to the revisions that still needed to be made. Now, yesterday, you all should have received a updated version of TMP and site plan. The TMP is sealed by the architect with a 12/1 date. And I need to consult with Mr. Navarez to be certain of this, but based on what I'm seeing, it basically aligns with the staff recommended version of the TMP dated 11/17. However, some additional traffic calming measures have been added to the internal serpentine queue, things like speed bumps and whatnot. So that's essentially where we are. If I need to go into more detail, I'm happy to do that with pictures and everything.
Excellent, thank you. Questions? Commissioner Blair.
Good afternoon. Yeah, it's afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And how are you today?
I'm fine. You?
I have questions in regards to the design and the queuing.
Okay.
And I'm sure there are questions that Mr. Navarez may need to assist in. Is he around?
He is, and he is making his way
Oh, I'm sure.
to
He's
the-
right over my right shoulder, huh?
Yes. Did you feel that energy?
I felt that energy. Mhm.
Making sure.
That heat.
What's that? I have it. I'll pull it up right here. The new one?
Okay, you ready? Okay, maybe it's a really simple, quick question. How many cars do you, in your estimation, can be in the queue along that, I don't know, is that the northern side, western side, instead of in through the Serpentine side? If you were just going to go down the straight side and not through the meandering side, about how many cars could be in that queue?
I know your agenda is packed today, but I wanted to clarify first, because this is important for our review, that this is perhaps one of the best TMPs we've seen come to our review. And of course, it has to do with the report itself, which meets our guidelines. But if you will notice, there is a very clear design that came in separating traffic, for example, buses, grades, and buildings. And very important to us, because typically the traffic component of management is the very last thing that we see. And we come in asking for comments and questions, and at that time it's too late. And so we truly appreciate the efforts that the design team put into the TMP and the design of the building and overall the sites. I wanted to clarify that, because to us it's very important. Typically we're too late. By the time the applicant comes to us asking for comments, we can't move building footprints or access points, and so we appreciated the ability to meet for the first time with the ISD for this project. So, given me the opportunity to mention that, ma'am, I don't think I have an answer for you right now. Those numbers, we can very easily calculate them and come back to you if you're still briefing within 5 minutes. I can
That would be
give you
nice.
those numbers. So it's the difference between the Serpentine, the winding road versus a straight road.
No. You see, along the side, I don't know if that's north or west.
Excellent. And I have to say that, as I told Ms. Agay, one of the comments that we made is, kudos to the design team for coming up with a very innovative design. This winding road, if I was a private engineer, I would come in and say, let's do it. This is very innovative. As city staff, I have to be more conservative and understand that you can't fit the same number of vehicles on a straight line than you can if you're driving side by side at an angle. You can't see the backside of your car, and therefore you're driving more carefully, which is very important as far as that connection goes. And likewise, we use numbers like 23.5 feet per vehicle. That takes into account the distance between the two cars. And if you have a straight line, I have no problem with that 23.5. The moment that you start angling vehicles in different directions, there's an inefficiency, and I hate to use the word inefficient because but that number changes. It's no longer 23.5. And so we can try our best to estimate that the difference between moving forward without a winding road and get back to you with an estimation of, or the difference between the two.
That would be nice. Thank you.
Just to clarify, you're talking about if they were to enter on Linfield and just remove the winding path altogether, enter Linfield, exit on Bonneview, is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. If
Okay.
they were to enter on Linfield, remove all of the winding and utilize that for just green space, and then exit on Bonneview as it's proposed, how many cars would conceivably be in the queue from Linfield Road straight up to where the kids are entering and to the cars and parents are picking up?
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
I can get on it right now. We can get on it right now if that's.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Other questions, commissioners? Mr. Neverez, I'm sorry, I saw you run off. When you said right now, did you mean this very moment or for the hearing?
He means this very moment.
Oh, okay, no, please then, I'll wait for you. I have questions for you as well. I'll wait for you, please, take your time. Ms. Aguirre, while he's doing the calculus over there, just a quick question for you. Current TMP says 3 buses are required. The current TMP has 3 buses with the additional possibility of staging another 3 and maybe another 4 for a total of 6 to 7. Were you aware that I asked for them to triple check that number? And in fact, there was an email from Jasmine Harrison, PhD, Student Transportation Services, dated December 2nd, that reconfirmed the need of 2, maybe 3 buses.
So I'm not aware of the email until this moment. And staff also asked them to reconfirm the number of buses based on comments we had received at the last hearing. To my understanding, the numbers have been confirmed with the buses as shown. Also, the clarification was made that the new school will be a combined Peace Elementary and
Yes.
Bushman Elementary.
Yes.
And that Peace Elementary is basically in the neighborhood to the south.
Correct.
And so that's where any new traffic of attendees would come
Right.
from, basically from south of that corner. So as far as we're aware, the bus numbers have been confirmed.
Perfect. And therefore, again, as you're clearly stating, when you have the total maximum population of a school, you have 3 buses, therefore the rest of the population of the students are going to get there in either one of 2 ways. They're either going to walk there or they're going to drive there. And as you mentioned, this other school that is to the south of there is kind of pushing us in the direction that there may be some students, maybe a significant number, that actually walk through the school, and therefore that is why we are now refocusing on that little intersection there of the sidewalk to the queue lane.
That is staff's understanding. And I would also add a 4th method of arrival, which would be by bicycle. Yes. One would hope that there would be more walkers and bike riders
Yes.
coming, especially given the more pedestrian-friendly nature of the proposed design and conditions.
Perfect, thank you. And we'll just pause for one moment.
Can you hear me okay? Are you able to?
Yes, Commissioner Hawk, we can hear you. Do you have a question?
No, I was just testing for Jason.
Can you hear us online? I know that there were some issues that maybe we couldn't hear the folks at the horseshoe at the podium. Could you
No, I
hear
can hear you
David?
perfectly. I can hear you perfectly.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Commissioners. Commissioner? Yeah, oh.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'd like to visit with the applicant to make sure my numbers are correct. However, there's a caveat here in that when you say vehicles are arriving from Linfield, they're on the right side of Linfield, and so they're actually queuing not adjacent to they're counterclockwise. Typically, we love to see clockwise movements around a school, and therefore, if that makes sense, now you're arriving from Bonneview, for example, you enter into Linfield and you're on the right side, and now you're going to turn left, and so technically you're queuing on the opposite side of Linfield and not the side of the street of the school. So just wanted to clarify that we're on the same page there. And
As you look at the design that we have in front of us,
yes,
you see that there on the TMP design, it has a curb cut on Linfield, and it says that there is going to be cones put there for lack of access, to close off access.
That's right.
And then the cars would come in on Bonneview and then come back around to where that entry point is on Linfield, and then go straight up.
So the delta that I come up with is 30 vehicles. We lose 30, we no longer can accommodate 30 vehicles. However, again, the numbers that are presented to us in this Serpentine Road are perhaps not accurate. However, the difference between the lines that are being shown in blue on the screen, and if we moved all vehicles out onto the street, then we're short by 30 vehicles that need to go somewhere. My concern, though, is that we're making an assumption that cars are going to be parked on the right side of Linfield, where presumably we would have through traffic, and then they're waiting in queue, trying to make a left into the site. Less than ideal, but we can. I was trying to see if we could accommodate all the queue instead of in front of homes on Linfield, if they could come in from the other side.
Mr. Navarez, can I make it really, really simple?
Please.
Okay. If you're saying that you lose 30 cars, the question is, if you come in from Linfield and go straight up, how many cars are in that, how many cars can queue from Linfield straight up?
From Linfield within the site.
Within the site, straight up, and not through that S or the Serpentine area.
I think if you give us more time, we can come up with actual dimensions and be able to answer quickly questions on dimensions if we just can put them on paper.
Okay, thank you.
Perhaps I can give you a better answer during the hearing. So.
Or just an estimate right now?
Well, yeah, of course. 40 vehicles.
So straight up is just is 40 vehicles. With the Serpentine area, you're losing approximately 30. So you're saying that whole entire area you can queue in about 70 cars, or how about 50?
Actually, the number is 130 if I'm not mistaken. Oops, how do I? I believe there is enough room for 130. 131. 131 is the number that are, maybe 90, excuse me, 90 vehicles is the total number of, if we're looking at the screen, there's a blue line going through, two blue lines going through the Serpentine Road, and it accommodates approximately 90 vehicles, of which I would say 40 to 50 are on that straight segment. from Linfield to the front of the building.
And combine both schools. With combining both schools, there is about 800 students?
I'll need help from the applicant.
Am I,
to verify.
am I reading, am I remembering that correctly? It's about 800 students when you combine both schools?
850, yes, ma'am.
850, you have, in the queuing design that you have already, you can queue 90. You have 3 buses that are going, that in the design that you have currently is going to, from what you're saying, is going to the south. And the students that are there, and what Ms. Algary just said, is the hopes that they're walking and riding bikes instead of in the car. Then my question is there really a need for that much queuing, 90 queuing, if you have in your design 850 students? Of those 850 students, you have 3 buses going to the south, and you're looking, and you have a adequate percentage of students that are walking or riding the bus. Would not 40, 50 queuing opportunities be sufficient based on what the design that you have and the numbers that are in front of us today?
I do not believe that the distance between the front of the building and the access driveway on Linfield would suffice to accommodate all the vehicles. Removing the winding road puts vehicles on Linfield, which is a normal condition at the schools in Dallas.
Thank you.
Commissioners, we're going to have a hard stop there. We need to get the hearing started. Mr. Alvarez, I'm sure there will be some additional questions for you at the hearing. I know I will have a few myself. It is 12:47, and that concludes the briefing of the Dallas City Plan Commission. We'll now